After the first two rounds of 2026 Formula 1 season, it's clear that the season will be action-packed with overtakes. But many fans feel the action looks more artificial than natural. For years, DRS was the main tool for overtaking in Formula 1. Although fans initially pushed back against it, they eventually began to understand its rhythm and over time became used to it. The new system, however, feels different. In Australia, we saw a huge jump in overtakes from 45 last season to 120 this year. But what looked like a clear success in theory told a more complicated story when viewed from a different angle. Before getting into the discussion, let's get a clear picture of what actually changed. DRS, or the drag reduction system, worked in a very specific and visible way. In designated zones, if a driver was within 1 second of the car ahead at the direction point, they could open the rear wing flap to reduce drag and gain extra straight line speed, making it easier to attempt an overtake. With the 2026 regulations, that system has effectively been split into two separate elements. The first is active aerodynamics, where the rear as well as the front wing can now open on defined straights even if the driver is not within 1 second of another car. This means that this aerodynamic advantage is no longer limited to a classic chasing scenario. The second is overtake mode, which replaces DRS as the main attacking tool by allowing drivers within 1 second of the car ahead to deploy extra electrical power, increasing their straight line speed, while a separate boost mode can be used for both attacking and defending. This is where the real shift happens. With DRS, the advantage was mostly aerodynamic and clearly visible to the audience. With the new package, that advantage is now a combination of low drag aerodynamics and battery deployment, where one part can be seen and the other largely cannot, fundamentally changing how the racing is understood from outside. But why does this feel artificial? The issue with the new system is not that it produces overtakes, but that those overtakes do not feel fully connected to what the viewer can actually see happening on track. With DRS, even when a move felt assisted, the sequence was easy to read. The chasing car would get within range and trigger the detection point. This opens the rear wing and creates a clear speed advantage, and then the car completes the move in a way that feels logical and predictable. With the 2026 system, that clarity is reduced. While the rear wing element is still somewhat visible, much of the performance difference now comes from energy deployment, which is not obvious on screen, making it harder for viewers to understand exactly why a car is suddenly faster. As a result, when one car closes in rapidly, the viewer is left questioning whether it is due to slipstream, battery state, or overtake mode. After Melbourne, Gabriel Bortoleto mentioned that he completed overtakes he did not even intend to make, describing them as happening by mistake because he had significantly more energy than the car ahead, which was already running low. Australia demonstrated that these new regulations can create action at circuits where overtaking has traditionally been difficult, with moves happening into multiple corners rather than being limited to a single straight line hotspot. This shows that the system is achieving part of its intended goal of keeping cars close enough to race. But it does mean F1 has introduced a system that currently hides too much of its own logic. And when the logic is hidden, racing can feel artificial. After the first two races of the season, F1 finds itself in a familiar position, where solving one problem has revealed another. The sport has succeeded in creating more movement, more attacking, and a higher number of overtakes, but at the same time, it has made some of those movements harder to read and harder to trust at first glance. The real challenge now is to ensure that this racing not only delivers action but also feels as authentic as it is fast, and that will ultimately decide whether 2026 is remembered as a season that improved overtaking or the season that made it harder to believe in. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to Circuit Nation, join our Reddit community, and follow us on Instagram.